Welcome to Darkened Files, where the shadows speak. We uncover the untold stories behind domestic violence and brutal crimes, exposing the chilling truths hidden in plain sight. Real cases, real voices, no sugarcoating. If you're ready to step inside the darkest corners of reality, you're in the right place. Kada's phone hit off in the park. Then another ping. Southwest Philly, the trail jumped to a house. Gabriella's spot. That felt off. That felt like someone watching. I said jealousy. I said she was having Keon. I said she knew what Keon was about to do to Kada. Before the arrest, before the body, before anyone knew the truth, one woman went live and said exactly what would happen. And me speaking on the live, seeing the guy with the dreadlocks and my vision, there you go. Two other people involved. It's a female. I know one female person, but there's some jealousy things going on. She saw two people. She saw a female. She saw jealousy. And girl, she wasn't wrong. October 18th, 2025. An anonymous voice told Philly police four words: go back. They missed her. Officers did. They went back. They found Kada Scott, where that caller pointed. DNA locked it in. 99.9% to her parents. And then the internet moved fast. It took Aunt Bree's vision and made it the opening scene, not the whole movie. Let me show you what Aunt Bree said before any of this came out. Two other people involved. It's a female. I know one female person, but there's some jealousy things going on. Most people scroll past that line. An aunt on live, folks kept it moving. Then the test results hit. That shallow grave behind an empty school, it was Kada. Right now, we're outside the Philadelphia Medical Examiner's office where they have been working to identify that body that was found yesterday. And tonight, our NBC 10 investigators have learned through their sources that body was Kada Scott. Aunt Bree's words landed different, heavy. It was just sad. East Germantown felt it. Remains found behind Ada Lewis Middle. Sunday came and two sources told NBC 10 the name. DNA said Kada. A neighbor said they were up since 3 a.m., shocked, numb. And on Saturday, police found the remains behind the vacant school after they say they received a tip in connection to Scott's disappearance. A 23-year-old was last seen at work about 2 weeks ago in Chestnut Hill. Another parent spoke. Her daughter works 5 minutes from Kada's job. Same blocks, same worry. City leaders spoke up too, mayor, council, president, standing with the family. Then fresh charges on Keon King, including arson. The timeline shifted. The web started digging. A name surfaced, Gabby. A link in the mess. People remembered Aunt Bree's line. That jealous female detail didn't sound wild anymore. Kada was 23, Penn State grad, business owner, healthcare worker, fashion head, pageants. She moved with purpose, plans on deck, a boyfriend, a life. Keon was the neighborhood pharmacist, familiar face, trusted role. That's how Gabby knew him too. Her pharmacist, 4 to 5 years of light contact, counter talk, nothing deep. Gabby knew of Kada, not close, but she knew the name because of the little sister. They grew up together at 11, 12. Kada was older, different circles, but Gabby knew who she was, lived right behind her. So the board looks like this. Keon the pharmacist, Gabby who knows Keon casually, Kada living near Gabby, and a phone call that ties it ugly. Here's where it turns. The day before October 4th, Keon calls Gabby. She's in school in Maryland. He calls like normal. Check-ins, neighborhood chatter, pharmacist stuff. But this call bends. Keon asks if she knows Kada. Gabby says yay, she knows her. He says, oh yay, I noticed she lives really close to you. She confirms, yay, like she lived right in the back of me. Call ends. 29 seconds. Routine. Forgettable. Except it wasn't. Those 29 seconds become wait. Days pass. Gabby chats with her best friend. She mentions Keon brought up Kada. Still light. Still shrug. She says, oh yay, he was probably trying to flirt with her. He's probably trying to get at her. Friend agrees. Cool. Move on. The only real tie. They knew the little sister. That's it. Then the alert. October 4th, 2025. Kada is reported missing. Gabby doesn't catch it at first. She's out of state. On October 9th, the friend texts. Now Gabby knows. She dials Keon. Music blasts in the background. She steps away. Quiet corner. She says, Kada is missing like that girl she's missing. He says, what? The line drops. 2 minutes total. Silence after. Gabby says she didn't believe her friend could do something like that. No way. Not him. But the timing matters. That hang-up matters. A few days slide by. Gabby's mom sends a screenshot. Keon turned himself in for kidnapping. Gabby and the best friend talk again. It's midterms. Gabby wants focus. She lets it go. He's in. What else to say? The friend pushes back. Call the cops. Tell them he asked about Kada before she vanished. Gabby says why? He already turned himself in. What's the point? And she's clear about her code. She doesn't call cops. That's how she was raised. So she says no. The friend says fine, I'll call. Then the cut. I don't want to be friends with you anymore because you won't call the cops. Gabby says okay. She doesn't want involvement. They hang up, but it doesn't stop. The friend calls back with police on the line. Gabby refuses. She owns that choice. Says she gets how it looks. Then the spiral. Days later, a link hits Gabby's Instagram. The best friend went live. She talks the whole situation. She calls Gabby weird for not calling. She lays out the ties. Gabby, Keon, Kada. Comments run wild. Narratives multiply. Gabby hasn't watched the full live. She says, too late. Damage done. People ask, who is Gabby? What's the connection? Why won't she talk? The friend told folks Gabby's in Maryland for school. Details spill. The internet does what it does. Threads, accusations, theories. Gabby's mad, confused. She texts the friend. That was weird. Posts keep popping. People say she set Kada up. Ask why she wouldn't talk to cops. Call her suspicious. Say she knows something. Gabby says that was never the case. She finally reaches out to authorities. They cut her off. They say they already know the chatter. Eyes on social. They say the friend already came forward. They say it's useless now. Keon's already in custody. They tell Gabby only call if she has something that helps find Kada. That was the mission then. Gabby believes the friend took her words and ran. Added spice. Made a small thing loud. Maybe it was for clout. Maybe just for eyes. Folks said the friend was out here pointing at stores. Kada loved the route she took with her dog. Dropping little details. A mutual friend pulled Gabby aside and said the friend was telling people they knew Kada their whole lives. Said they grew up with her. That wasn't real. They grew up with Kada's little sister, not Kada. That's Gabby's version. That's what she put out. Then it got messy. A clip started moving. Gabby faced the camera and spoke for herself.
Discussing some of the misinformations that are going around in the internet regarding me and the Kada Scott situation. So if you are unaware, Kada Scott is a girl that went missing in Philadelphia on October 4th. So I did know Keon. He was my friend. I met him about 4 or 5 years ago, and he was also the local pharmacist. Now, me and my best friend, we were also mutual friends with Keon. He was our pharmacist. So one day Keon calls me, and keep in mind, I am in school, I am in Maryland, and he will usually just call me, just to check up and talk. So he calls me and he asks me if I know Kada. And I'm like, yeah, I know Kada. And he's like, oh yeah, I noticed that she lives really close to you. I'm like, yeah, she lived right in the back of me. And I'm not thinking nothing of it because he usually calls me and, we just be chatting. He'll call me about the people that be around because he is the pharmacist. I live in the neighborhood and he be in my neighborhood. So we hang up the phone and that was that. We were only on the phone for 29 seconds. So you can see that this is the day that he called me and this was before Kada went missing. And we were only on the phone for 29 seconds. Also, I know that his name says Elliot in my phone. That's just what we call him. So a couple of days after that, my best friend calls me and, we're just talking about life. And I mentioned to her how Keon brought up Kada to me. I'm not thinking nothing of it. I'm like, oh yeah, he was probably trying to flirt with her. He's probably trying to get at her. Mind you, me and my best friend, we know Kada because we grew up with her little sister. Now, we didn't know Kada personally because, again, we grew up with her little sister. We were around 12, 11 years old. Kada, she was much older than us, so we didn't really talk to her. So my best friend was like, oh yeah, he probably thought she was cute, and that was that. So right here is the day that I called my best friend and told her that, Keon was trying to get at Kada. This is before she went missing. So a couple days, maybe a week after that, it is reported on October 4th that Kada is missing. So keep in mind, I am in Maryland, so I'm not really into all the Philadelphia news that be going on. So I'm not knowing that Kada is missing until my best friend sends me a text and says that Kada is missing. So this is the day that my best friend tells me that Kada is missing on October 9th. So I'm in my friend's dorm and I call Keon and it's a lot of music and a lot going on in the background. I go somewhere that's quiet and I tell him, Keon, Kada is missing. Like, that girl, she's missing. So he was like, what? And then after that, the phone just hung up. So here you can see that I called Keon and we were on the phone for 2 minutes. So you have to keep in mind, this was my friend, okay? I did not think that he could be capable of anything like this. In my head, I'm just thinking, there's no way in the world he could have did something like this. There's no way in the world. So then a couple of days after that, my mom sends me a screenshot of Keon turning himself in for the kidnapping of Kada. So this is my mom sending me the article, and she was distraught to say the least. And I know she said that he was a random person, but she says this about all of my friends. So me and my best friend, we get on the phone and we're talking about the situation. We're just saying how this is just crazy. This is the call of me and her talking about it. Now, this is all happening around the time that I'm taking my midterms. So I'm really just trying to keep my head on the books. And I wasn't really trying to let this stress me out. So I kind of just let it go. You know, he turned himself in. It's not really much to say or do anymore. So a couple of days after that, me and my best friend get on the phone and we're basically just, talking about the Kada situation. And she says that she thinks that I should call the cops. So she was basically saying that she thinks that I should call the cops and tell them that Keon was, asking about Kada. Now, at the time in my head, I'm thinking that there was no reason to call the cops. He already turned himself in. And I felt like it would be kind of a waste of time to tell them that the guy that they already have in custody, called me and was asking about the girl. And me personally, I'm not a cop caller. Like, I don't call the cops. That's just the way that I grew up. That's what I was around. They will always tell me, you don't call the cops. So I just felt like, that I had, and the fact that, I'm just not really a cop caller, it wouldn't make sense for me to call the cops. So then my best friend tells me, well, if you won't call the cops and tell them, then I will. And then she basically tells me that she doesn't want to be friends with me anymore because I won't call the cops. And I told her, that's completely fine. I just don't want any involvement. So then we hung up the phone, and then I believe she called me again with the police on the other line. So you can see, I told her, I'm sorry, I'm not talking to the cops. And yeah, now I can't see how this could be cruel, and I do take accountability for that. So then a couple of days later after that, I get sent a link on Instagram, and the link was basically my best friend going live, just talking about the situation, saying how I was weird for not going to the cops, and people in the comments were just coming up with their own narratives about the story. And it just got way out of hand and it just spiraled. So you can see somebody sent me the link of the live, and still to this day, I have not watched the full entire live. Then people just started asking, who is Gabby? What's the connection? And, she told people that I was in Maryland for school, and it was just a whole entire thing. So, of course, I was angry and I was confused because what is going on? So I text her. I tell her that, that was weird. And yeah. Then I started seeing posts of people saying that they think that I set Kada up, and that why wouldn't I go to the cops, and that I was just suspicious and all of this stuff. And this was never the case. So I do end up contacting the authorities after I seen people just making up crazy stuff about me and the situation. They cut me off. They tell me that they already know what's going on, that they have a close eye on the social media. And they also tell me that my friend did come forth with the information, and they told her that there was nothing that they can do, that the information that she bought them was useless information because they already had Keon in custody, and it was just nothing for them to do with this information. They told me to contact them only if I had anything that could lead to finding Kada, because that is their main priority. Now, I do believe that the person in the live was just kind of taking what I told her and running with it and just spicing it up to make it seem like something that it wasn't for, I don't know, maybe views. People were saying that, she was walking around and showing what stores Kada would go to, where she would walk her dog, and just stuff like that. I also had one of our mutual friends come to me, and he told me that she told him that we knew Kada our whole lives and like we grew up with her, which wasn't the case because we grew up with her little sister. Now, I do think that the person in the live was taking what I told them and kind of just running with it and spicing it up to make it seem like it was way bigger than what it was. And I basically think this because I had a mutual friend that came to me and said that she came to them and told them that we knew Kada our whole life and that we grew up with Kada when that wasn't the case. We grew up with her little sister. My prayers go out to Kada and her family, and I hope that she can make a safe return home.
Gabby is best friends with Keon. Keon is the perp. Gabby is best friends with him. So everybody's like, Breezy, you was right. It was a light-skinned girl vibe because what happened was when I see my vision, it's two girls. They have on blue t-shirts. And one is light-skinned, high yellow with two braids in her head. And she looks at me and it's a little girl. She's not as light as her, but she was in the light. She's like my complexion. So she turns her head. So I'm like, they was demonic though. So I'm like, why is they looking at me like this? But it's a vision like right here. So I've been saying this a long time as well. And then next thing you know, Gabby comes up. Now, Gabby is the girl that they went down Southwest Philadelphia to the house because of Kada phone pinged in the park. Once it pinged in the park, it pinged to Southwest Philadelphia. So the house that they pinged it to was where Gabriella was at. So Gabriella said she didn't know Kada. Then she lied and said she did know Kada because she was getting pressured. So next thing you know, the phone was pinged back. Oh, fuck, another download just came. She was pinged back. Thank you, Spirit. I love you, Spirit. I swear I love my tribe and my ancestors for what they do. All right, so that was a moment. So whatever the case is, she was pinged back to the phone in the area of Ada Lewis School. It was pinged back to Ada Lewis School based upon that's where they originally was at when she showed me that she was there. So when that call said help, she was letting me know I was close. She was letting me know like, you here, Breezy, Aunt Breezy, whatever the fuck you want to say. All right, baby, I'm sorry. She was like, it was like she was here. So next thing you know, after that happened, everybody was like, we need to go to the, certain places. So as I'm watching the news, I'm like, wait, white van. I'm like, oh, there go the white truck I was talking about. His car, the gray car was sitting across the street, and there go the white truck. Somebody found his Instagram, same car before it got crashed up. So we know it's him. Moving along, not to bounce all over the place. So Gabby is best friends with him. Now, it was a little girl on TikTok that everybody worked to my attention when she was talking about him and how she knew him. Now, her best friend is the girl who gave me the info. And she lied to me because she didn't know. She told me she didn't know him before. But apparently the girl was on there talking about Kada, how she walks her dog and, things like that. And they, all above. So that's stalker. That's a stalker. I said, she was jealous. I said she was having fucking Keon. I said, and she knew what Keon was about to do to Kada because Keon asked her, because Keon asked her, where do Kada live at? Where does she work at? And all the above. Now, he knew Kada already. It's not a mystery he didn't know Kada. He definitely knows Kada. I want y'all to understand, it was never that he was a stranger to Kada. He knew Kada. He knew who Kada was as a person. Kada knew him as a person. But it was not supposed to go to this level because Kada was not in a relationship with him. She was in a relationship with somebody else. Please, you was not getting up here. She was in a relationship with somebody else. So with that being said, as she was in a relationship with somebody else, let me give you the downloads because I don't want to be all over the place in my downloads. That's what they do. All right, so earlier we was talking about it. The girl that gave me the jewels, she told her best friend that was talking about Kada on live, she needs to call the police and tell the police what she knows. The girl was like, I'm not telling anybody anything. So apparently the girl said that Keon told Gabby that what he did with Kada, and don't tell nobody where Kada was. Me asking about where Kada at and where she live at and where she work at. Because Kim didn't play that nobody knowing where she lived at. So that's how I know for a fact he didn't know where she lived at. So the girl told, and Gabby promised not to say nothing about what he did to Kada. So Gabby goes to school in Maryland. So the girl was talking about that. Y'all had to go see her live with the TikTok. Some people saved that. I don't know. Hey. Hold on. Khalil. Because you acting up today, mama.
Okay, so let's break down what Aunt Bree is claiming here. She's saying Gabby wasn't just a casual friend of Keon's. She's claiming Gabby and Keon were romantically involved. That Gabby was jealous of Kada. That Gabby gave Keon information about where Kada lived and worked, knowing what he planned to do. That Keon told Gabby what he did to Kada and where she was, and Gabby promised to stay silent. Aunt Bree also claims Kada's phone pinged at Gabby's house in southwest Philadelphia before pinging back to Ada Lewis School. And remember, Aunt Bree said there was a jealous female involved before any of this came out. Some of her predictions were accurate. The abandoned building, the location between work and the park, the guy with the dreadlocks, and some other things she said. Now let's be real clear about what we know versus what's being claimed. Kada Scott is deceased. DNA confirmed it. 99.9% match to her parents. Keon King is in custody. $2.5 million bail. Additional charges coming, including arson. Gabby admits Keon called her about Kada before October 4th. Gabby admits she didn't come forward for 2 weeks while people searched. Text messages show Gabby's friend stating Kada was dead before the official announcement. An anonymous tip led police to Kada's exact location. Those are facts. Whether Gabby was romantically involved with Keon, whether Gabby gave information knowing what would happen, whether Keon told Gabby what he did, whether Kada's phone pinged at Gabby's location, whether there's any accomplice at all. Authorities haven't charged anyone else. They haven't confirmed an accomplice, but they're still asking for tips. How did Gabby's friend know Kada was dead before the public announcement? Who told her? Did Gabby tell her? If so, how did Gabby know? Why did Gabby stay silent for 2 whole weeks while hundreds of people searched? Even if you're not a cop caller, when you know the suspect was asking about the victim beforehand and someone tells you information about her being dead, doesn't that matter? Why did the friend push so hard for Gabby to talk to police, then go live publicly when she refused? What did the friend know that made her feel it was that important? When Gabby told Keon that Kada was missing on October 9th, why did the phone just hang up? What was said in those 2 minutes? Who made that anonymous call giving police the exact location of Kada's body? How did they know? Please go back. They missed her. That's very specific language from someone who knew. And why is Keon being charged with arson? What did he burn? Where? Why? Those questions are sitting heavy right now. And the internet has been trying to piece together answers that authorities haven't given yet. But while all this was unfolding online, something else was happening in Philadelphia. In the days that followed, people started showing up at Ada Lewis Middle School to pay their last respects and to remember Kada Scott. So many flowers in front of that abandoned school. Even people who never met her but felt her loss came to show their respect and leave flowers. The community came together, not in anger, but in love, to honor a young woman whose life was stolen too soon. Philadelphia City Council member Cindy Bass sent a letter to the school district superintendent asking them to demolish that building because it had become a place of tragedy, a place where someone hid a beautiful soul, and the community wants it gone. But before it comes down, it's become something else, a memorial, a place where people can bring their grief, a place to say Kada Scott's name and remember who she was. 23 years old, Penn State graduate, business owner, healthcare worker, fashion designer, pageant competitor, daughter, niece, cousin, friend, a go-getter with a whole future that should have happened. Her family now has to live with answers they never wanted, but they also have something else, a community that showed up, that searched, that cared, that won't forget. The investigation continues. If you have information about this case, Philadelphia police are asking you to call 215-686-TIPS. But tonight, we remember Kada Scott, not as a victim, not as a case, but as a young woman who deserved better, who deserved to keep building her dreams, who deserved to keep living. Rest in peace, Kada Scott. Your community will never forget.